Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first practice management event of 2024. I'm Brandon, the founder of Advisor Flow, and also an independent advisor based in Vancouver, rainy Vancouver, British Columbia. We're thrilled to have you today to discuss how to build high-performance multi-advisor teams. Our goal is that you're going to leave with some actionable insights to implement in your growing business. Shawn's going to start us off today, and I'll introduce him in just a moment, followed by Gary, and then I'll round things out before we open up for Q&A at the end. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Shawn. Shawn Todd, in 2022, I had an opportunity to hear him speak at a conference in Victoria. I was very impressed with the way he built his practice. Then I had the opportunity to meet him in person in San Diego at Canada Life's Top Advisor Conference in 2023. What I appreciate most about Shawn is how humble and open-minded he is. Even though he operates a successful practice in Ottawa, he was willing to share some time with me as I was just starting to build my advisor team last year. So I'm also just very excited to learn some of what he's willing to share today with us for my own practice. We've also got Gary Robillard on. Shawn, do you want to share a little bit about Gary?
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate the opportunity to be on today, and I certainly appreciate that nice introduction. I'd love to introduce Gary. Gary is a very close and respected colleague of mine that I've been dealing with for, I'd say, over 14 years. Gary's been an integral part, Gary and his team from CoreLogics have been an integral part in our growth, in our success, especially in the area of technology and our database. We started with a ACT database. Gary and his team reached out to us almost immediately and have helped us build our backstop, all the database features, our e-marketing, and his CoreLogic teams is excellent. So Gary is president and CEO of CoreLogics, and he's been more than willing to help. So I know there'll be some great questions and topics come up today. I know that Gary will be very good at engaging anyone who has questions in these areas.
Fantastic. So Shawn, I'm going to share a little bit about your background for those on the call who perhaps haven't had the opportunity to meet you. So Shawn is a CFP and co-founder, as well as president and CEO for Asuvta Financial Planning Boutique, and he's responsible for the strategic direction of his firm. Shawn's a certified financial planner, one of the two partners at his firm, which was founded in 2007. He's grown his practice primarily in the high net worth market, growth business owners, as well as entrepreneurs. As well, Shawn hosts a podcast called the Minded Money Podcast, which is downloaded in over 22 countries. That's hosted with his partner, Corey Butler. I listened to a couple of his podcasts and they're quite good. So I'd encourage you, fellow advisors on the call, to check it out. Shawn continues to find opportunities to lead his firm into the future in a rapidly changing marketplace, and he places a great deal of emphasis on personal and corporate financial planning through his ensemble firm practice management, as well as high growth branding strategies. So Shawn, take it away.
Brandon, you've been very, very good to me in the introductions. Thank you so much again. I do enjoy sharing, and I don't mind taking any time to share ideas. And that's a lot of how I ended up where I am today, is that there's a lot of good people around me who have inspired me. So a lot of the things that I might talk about today or discuss, you may have heard from before. They may not be original ideas for myself, but I certainly have learned a lot along the way. And I'd like to share with you the ideas that have helped me build my success. We've got a great practice, a great team of people, and I'd like to be able to, all the people on the call, really ease up your practice management, because that's taking up a lot of time. So if I can actually say, hey, this is what's working, then I think that's a great way to start. So maybe to start you off, I'll explain a little bit about how Asuvta came to be. It was kind of the brainstorm by my stepfather, who was originally kind of the founder of this practice, 51 years in financial management. Brian Adams, who was originally a London Life advisor, and actually is my stepfather. So this is a very close and a very intimate story for me. He was introduced to me when I was 13 years old, who had met my mother, who was down at London Life doing training as an advisor, as well as she and my dad had split up, and she was looking to be starting a new career. So just having a family connection where I have my mother as a financial advisor, my stepfather at 13 years old coming in, giving me a ledger for my 13th birthday, and getting me interested in financial planning and financial management, and then steering me back into this career later on as after I finished university and had a very successful career in of all things policing. So we started Acivda as an idea. What we wanted was to have a financial firm in Ottawa that was very financial planning centric. We saw a lot of the tides shifting, and we wanted to serve financial planning, have a very professional onboarding and engagement, and be seen as basically a professional institution, very much like an accounting firm or a legal firm. I wanted to have that touch and feel, so we could move into very growth-minded or successful markets, which we've been able to exploit to a lot of degree. So that was a great idea for us. So we needed to have a unique brand, which was Acivda. It was actually an anagram. It's advice in reverse, and that may be evident to some that are on the call, maybe not evident to others. But a lot of what we do and how we advertise is really meant to be a little bit of a question mark. It's a little meant to be a little unique, a little creative, maybe speak to our clients a little differently, maybe what they've heard before. And we've really leveraged the hell out of that. It's been something that's worked for us. And even though the Acivda brand at first could be a little clunky, people might not recognize and understand the name, it's been something that people cling to and turn to when they want answers. And it's been great for our team of people. So we've assembled a great team of roughly 12 people now in a variety of different areas. So one of the things I want to talk about is the difference between scalability and why this is important. I think most in the call right now probably reached out to this call because you saw the title multi-advisor firm growth, and you may be experiencing this right now. I was just talking about this at a meeting this morning with another advisor, well-respected advisor in the Ottawa area, is the scalability issue, adding advisors, and what a lot of corporations are experiencing. So why I think this is important, one, I think the financial services sector is in a state of massive change. I think more change has happened in the past 10 years than we've ever had in the past 50. And I think the next 10 years is going to be equally as exciting. So significant changes. I think a lot of the information that we need as advisors or advisory practices is south of the border, looking at mid-tier and larger term firms. How have they broken through some of these hurdles and challenges? How have they added advisors, created really unique relationships with clients, but also achieved great success? And one of the things that we're really hitting on straight on is creating an ensemble firm for Acivda. Some of you may not realize the difference between just simple cost-sharing relationships and an ensemble practice. Cost-sharing relationship is very common. I'd say 75% of the firms that I speak to or colleagues that I have in this business are running cost-sharing. It's might be branded. There's no sharing of company profits. Usually there's one rainmaker. It's a eat what you kill mentality. Whatever you sell, you keep. And there is some simple cost sharing arrangements. The problem, the limitations with a cost sharing arrangement is one, I think it's short-sighted. It worked in 1970, 1980, 1990. It's not going to work in the 20 more years because of the way that the advisory world is changing. I believe we need to have attraction for advisors to come to your firm, to have a long career, to decide they want to put a lot of time and effort in to stay, and a realization that profits of the firm could be shared with them at one point. So whether that's a track to partnership or whatever, but I don't think that's clear when we just do cost sharing. An ensemble firm is not what an eat what you kill mentality. It's simply built around profitability of the firm. Everyone who's employed by the firm's objective really is to increase the profitability, create this great relationship with the clients, have it be a fantastic experience. And I think that's what gets exciting. It creates a great culture for the people on the team. It creates a great experience for the clients who are engaged with an ensemble firm, but it also creates some stability. I believe in the fact that the advisors coming in can see the values of the firm align with their own values, and it makes it very exciting to want to engage with this firm, potentially have a long career here, and potentially be on a track to partnership, be on a track to ownership, or if not, if they don't want to ever be an owner, at least find a role in the firm that is exciting, that is engaging of their skills and abilities, and is what they want to do, aligning their skills and values with that position. And that's not always available if you don't create an ensemble culture. So when we built out Acivta, we really tried to, I want to show you here, we have, 6 really unique main lines of revenue. We've got our life, estate, and risk planning. We've got our wealth management portion of the firm, our retirement income planning, our employee benefits and pension. And then we've been very, very big adopters of fintech and technology, really trying to see how that fits into our practice, how we can utilize these tools to, again, create a creative onboarding and exporting and solution implementation piece, but also just creating a great experience for our clients. And that last piece that we've added recently is our fee-based financial planning, which has been very successful. For the first 15, 16 years of the practice, we did, like many do on this call, where our financial plans were done complimentary if you engage with our services. And now we've turned into a model where exclusively any client who's referred comes in the front door, wants to work with our team, be more than happy to do so. But there is an engagement cost, and we're very clear. We've got a great process on what that looks like and what that will feel like, what the value that will be exchanged with that client. But here it is. And I can assure you that since we've made that very tough decision to make that change, we've added profitability to the firm. We've added a much deeper and richer experience for the clients. And I feel like we've professionalized our services. It's probably a decision that we should have done 5, 6, 7 years earlier. So it's a great evolution for us, but it's been great for us overall. One of the things I'd like to speak about is the importance, as we talk about a growing and ensemble practice and adding people, one of the challenges and questions I get a lot are, how do you do that? How do you ensure you built it, Shawn, or you created some of this vision along with Brian and now Corey? How do you ensure that everyone else in your team is going to do what you feel is the voice or the right decision for Acivta? My answer is always this: the starting to all of your practices, the starting to any good business management really starts with having a common goal. We do that by having, and you can see ours here that I put up on the screen, a common mission, vision, and value proposition that has to be understood by all team members. And we discuss these at our team meetings. We discuss these at our planning meetings, and they become the mantra to who we are and the decisions that we make, where we spend our time, what training we do, who's doing what job, what every touch should feel like. And if we can get that right, then it really starts to create a culture so that suddenly people in different roles in our company now understand, if it's a social media role, I understand what that voice should be like and what I'm supposed to be saying. If it's a client facing role, it's like, I understand why we're doing certain actions, why we're asking clients for certain information, because it ties back to that mission, vision, and value proposition, why we're different, how it should feel. So I think I encourage you all, as you talk about or think about strategize about having a multi-advisor practice, it's you've got to start at the basics, you got to start at the beginning and create the culture first. This mission, vision, value proposition. What is your company? What does the voice sound like? Where is it going? Because that you will build the team around that. You're essentially building a hockey team and inserting different players in different positions. So you have to get that right first. Here's a good example here of the values. So going back 4 or 5 years ago, we did a really neat consulting exercise where we stripped the whole firm down to its core, again, came up with our mission, vision, value proposition, decided on direction, who is our ideal client, who gets referred to us, what happens, and we came up with the values. And you can see here's the 6 values that we found after looking at all of our staff. This is the 6 values that every single person has. So every person here, even though they're all unique in their own way and all have their own personalities, are caring, they're visionaries, they're determined. They enjoy a workforce where there's transparency. They enjoy teamwork. There's a high degree of integrity. This resonates with every person, and I can most assuredly tell you that these are the 6 values that probably will be part of every future employee, every future team member, every future partner of Acivta, because it's who Acivta is. It's what the clients feel. So again, we start at the beginning. This becomes important, but as we add advisors, the next question we're going to ask today, obviously, is talking about adding advisors. That becomes an easy discussion. If you don't fit these values, you're not the right person. We can't just add anyone. We need to add the right people. And by adding the right people, we can only do that if we understand who we are. It's become really easy for me as we've grown to see the successes that we've had. And that's only happened as we've continued to allow people to do their own things. As we've added advisors, working inside of an ensemble practice has allowed me to delegate and give up responsibilities that normally were mine at the beginning. And this is one of the things, again, that I feel you can't do in a cost sharing environment. It's you can't tell someone who you're just simply sharing the rent with to have responsibilities unless you're have a salary or some kickback on the profits. And so I feel like anytime we have an ensemble practice, it becomes easier to take up or provide or have staff members look after different responsibilities within the firm. But because of that, the output becomes exceptional. We're getting 10x on everything we touch. Every morning that I get up, there's already outputs happening that I haven't done. It's not my idea. It wasn't my email. It wasn't my ask. It was someone part of our firm who has a critical role or an understanding of what we need to have accomplished or what needs to have happened in the next 90 days. And that gets looked after and often without instruction. And that, I promise you, that's the winning part of having an ensemble firm and surrounding yourself with great people. And also giving up and allowing yourself to have less control, which is very difficult. That's a difficult thing for most entrepreneurs and most growth-minded people. I want to talk a little bit about the marketing and the branding piece. We've spent a great deal of time at Acivta trying to perfect what that brand feels like. So when we look at this slide here, consistency, the colors, our emails have the same font, our the language on our onboarding, the language on our marketing pieces speak from a very similar voice. And we've assigned that task to someone writing within our firm because it's such a precious and important part of who we are and what it should feel like when somebody reaches out to say, hey, I'm retiring in 6 months. I need someone that I can trust. Or I'm a business owner. I need someone who's going to provide me advice. I want these to become synonymous with someone feeling like this is the best place to turn to. I'm a business owner. They speak in my language. They're creative. I'm creative. They're growth minded. I'm growth minded. This has become important with our Think Forward tagline, right through to our podcast, the Mind and Money Show, which we've again leveraged as best we possibly can. We've become subject matter experts as far as business owners or being growth minded. We've had incredibly interesting conversations with a lot of people that we normally couldn't reach out to or touch because of the podcast. And some of those have become great clients. And if not, they haven't become clients. They've referred people who have become clients. So it creates a real culture of excitement. And it's also exciting for our staff. So I think that's important. But the marketing piece is definitely fits in. I think it's often overlooked. I think a lot of old school hunters have a difficult time in this kind of marketing world, but make no mistake, as we go through this massive change right now with financial services, and I'm going to give kudos to Brandon here and the excellent work at Advisor Flow. Look at the very forward thinking. Here we are doing a seminar right now using video and reaching out to people that normally he wouldn't have been able to reach out to. That's forward thinking. So we're doing the same. Forward thinking, using as many tech tools as we can. The market is changing and you should be taking advantage of that. And of course, again, a growth-minded advisor, multi-advisor practice, it's just become something very, very complementary. So you can see here our marketing. We've had very strong marketing plan. I'll take you through it really quickly, but we've got our podcast, social media, drip marketing, a lot of these tools that some of you may know or may not know, but this is everything we've done is done to support the team. We've got advisors now who are out of province. We've got our first out of province advisor in British Columbia, and I know that we'll have more to come. So as we've built our larger firm, we continue to look at strategies like this. And the questions we ask are, how does this support, not just how this can support me in my practice, but how will these strategies support and enable all of the advisors in our practice? Because I believe, strongly believe, this becomes a value offering that when I'm having a conversation with an advisor who's looking at me saying, why should I join the CIVDA, or what does the CIVDA have for me that the firm down the street doesn't have? It makes for an easy value proposition. I can have this conversation, explain, hey, this is what we do and how we do it differently. And I feel like this is a big differentiator for us. The last piece I want to talk about for a few minutes is the technology piece, which has been massive to us. So in addition to the marketing, the strong values, the understanding of the brand, communicating that, trying to create this unique culture and relationship with our clients, we've leveraged technology the best that we possibly can. And I can tell you right now, there's two important conversations today I'd love to be able to highlight. One is this amazing relationship that I've had with CoreLogics, with Gary and his team. They've supported us on ACT. It's been an essential part. Having a strong database has been an essential part of tracking clients, segmenting our business, understanding if I was to spend 20 minutes today reaching out to clients to say, hey, I've got something exciting to communicate to you, or I've got a strategy, or even to my team to say, who do I want to sit in front of in the next 30 days? The segmentation piece and the database piece has become critical in saving me hundreds of hours and making things streamlined. The CoreLogics team has a very specific advisor overlay, which we've used and leveraged. It's been excellent. We've also helped us develop an e-marketing strategy, which to me is pennies on the dollar. It's putting thousands of hours of time into something that takes very little input. We have email marketing, blogs, updates, engagement letters. It's been great. So to have that kind of e-marketing support is basically replaced one entire person's job, all done within our database, which is great. Advisor flow. Advisor flow is new to us, and I certainly appreciate Brandon and all the work that he's done. And some of you have a long experience with them, and some of you are just being introduced to advisor flow. But the advisor flow team, up to date for us, has been excellent. We're currently working with the advisor flow team to revolutionize our onboarding process and rebuild it. And it works perfectly, or is going to be working perfectly with ACT, so that we can have a very streamlined onboarding process that's branded, that fills in all the things I just spoke about, but also communicates with my database so that it decreases time spent, but makes our job a lot easier. So these two pieces, between having a strong database and having a very streamlined, slick, and forward-thinking onboarding process, it's amazing. I know that's a lot, and I've tried to summarize the best I can, but these are the highlights that I think will help you in your multi-advisor practice. If you have any questions after the fact, you want to reach out, we're going to answer some Q&A, but please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I don't mind sharing, because so many good people ahead of me shared with me, and that's why I'm here and happy to share. Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate the time.
Incredible, Shawn. Thank you. Yeah, you're somebody I look up to, and someone that I hope to continue to learn from in the years ahead. Next up, I want to invite Gary to join us. So I just met Gary over the last few months through my relationship with Shawn, and we've been working with his team on a new integration that will be announced shortly. Gary, thank you for joining us. He seems to be an expert when it comes to CRM and integrations, and I'm very excited to have him on speaking with us. He's even got a new way of sharing, so we're not going to use PowerPoint for Gary. So let us know what you think of his strategy. Maybe we'll look to implement some of his new tech into our webinars from here. Gary, the floor is over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today and sharing some thoughts and ideas. We've been working with financial advisors for 30 years now, doing custom databases and custom strategies. We're a bit of a boutique, just like CIVDA, in the sense that our background isn't IT. Our background is business. I've been working with financial advisors for such a long time that you kind of learn the verbiage and the nuances of the business. And I feel sometimes that I could probably step in and be a financial advisor, although I think I leave that to the experts like Shawn and his team. I want to talk about CRM today, and it's such a crucial part of any business, and it doesn't matter whether you're a solopreneur or whether you're a seasoned veteran with a big team like Shawn's got. A CRM infrastructure is critical to sustain your firm and your business. And if I would ask you what is CRM to you, most people would say it's a software. And partially they would be correct. CRM software is just a tool within a CRM strategy. And Shawn has definitely built his CRM strategy within all of his growth strategy meetings and events and stuff that he's doing. He's been able to adopt that whole strategy, and he's done a marvelous job on it. And so with a strategy, I just want to talk about what's the difference before you go and buy a software or CRM software. What should you do with a strategy? So for the first thing is you want to decide what a strategy is, and there's a bunch of components to this. So the first component is plan for growth. Now, whether you're a solopreneur, I have seen solopreneurs end up hiring assistants and then working together with other advisors and in building their advisor team, just like Shawn has grown over the last few years. It's amazing, and to see his growth and what they've done with their business, it's simply amazing. And kudos to him and his team. So planning for growth. Now, growth doesn't necessarily mean growth in how many employees and stuff you have, but growth in the sense that we're going to bring on more clients. And if we bring on more clients, do we have the ability to manage all of the growth that we have? Do we have the processes, procedures, and strategies in place to be able to manage them and look after them? And so that's an important part of your CRM strategy. The next part would be to have CRM, look at your CRM, and Shawn alluded to this. He said with his marketing, they were able to replace one of their employees. Think of a CRM as an employee. And just like an employee, you want to have a job description. And what do you want this CRM application, when you do purchase one, what do you want it to do for you? You want to be specific in that job description. I don't know if you've ever hired somebody and didn't give them a job description, just said, hey, yeah, just go and do some stuff. You probably won't get the results that you want to get. And so looking at your CRM application as an employee and say, well, how is this going to benefit? What can it do? Besides marketing, we're going to capture data. It can create reports, all these different things that it can do for you. What specifically do you want it to do? Because that will help you determine the software that you require. The next thing is you want to be able to look at this as a client retention strategy. So most people will have, well, how do we keep our clients? Once we get them, how do we keep them? And we all know that this can be a challenge. If you look at how much it takes to retain a client versus how much it takes to get a new one, it can be a little bit daunting. And so client acquisition should definitely be on your radar, but having a strategy for retaining your clients is critical. And your CRM application, when you actually look at it as an employee and say, well, what is this going to do? You can determine how this is going to help you do that in that retention strategy. Then we want to look at your SOP. And I don't know, I know Shawn's got a standard operating procedure for his organization, but I find over the 30 years I've been doing this, a lot of people don't. They just they're shooting from the hip because that's how they started off. And then as they've grown, they've kind of just put things together. But having a standard operating procedure that says, well, how am I going to interact with this database? What am I going to do? What are my employees going to do to interact with this CRM employee that I've got? And how is that going to work? And we need to work as a team. So that CRM employee is part of this team. And so being able to identify specifically how they're going to work together, the rest of the team with this employee makes all the difference. Then we look at how do we choose the right CRM. Now, this is an important part because a lot of people will just go by what other people say. Hey, this is a good one, try this. But there's certain components that I've found over the years that we've done this, and we evaluate CRM software all the time. In fact, when we first started off, we had 3 different CRM softwares. ACT was one of them, and then we had SalesLogix and Pivotal, which were the 2 top high-end CRM programs that we worked, and we worked with companies like Deloitte and Touche and KPMG with them helping deploy these larger CRM strategies. But picking the right tool is critical. So first of all, what you want to do is have one that's customizable, meaning you can wrap this application around your specific business, as opposed to how most of them are today. I mean, there are 3,500 plus CRM applications out today. Some of them are industry specific. A lot of them are very generalistic, where you can kind of manipulate that to fit your specific business model. But it needs to be customizable. You won't want to say, well, here's how this one works. We'll have to work around how it works. You want to try to, at least as close as you can, get this to work in your specific business model. The next thing you want to do is it needs to be easy to use. I've seen CRM systems that were, put it this way, if you were right-handed and you were said, now you're going to start writing with your left hand, some applications are like that. They have all the bells and whistles, they do all the things that you want to do, but how they do them makes a big difference. So you want something that's easy to learn and quickly adaptable into your business environment. And that's really an important piece that I've found over the years. The next one is flexible deployment. And this is a really important one. Flexible deployment, it means being able to have it meet everybody, if you want to call it stakeholders in the business, you want it to meet their specific requirements. So for an example, everybody's in the office, they're going to maybe using a desktop version of a CRM software that links directly to the database on premise, and everything is great. But then you've got one guy that he says, I'm going to go work in my cottage, and I don't have internet connection, but I want to work while I'm offline. So being able to give him a remote database that he can work offline on a desktop version of a database is fantastic. And then you've got others who say, hey, I'm going on holidays to Europe. I want to be able to access this by the web. So you have 2 options for the web. You can have a web application, or you can use something like a virtual desktop environment, or a VDI, where basically your desktop is in the cloud. And you log in with a PC or a Mac or a tablet, and you can log in and you have the full functionality of a desktop in the cloud and be able to do that. And then last but not least, having the ability to have it on a mobile phone or tablet so that you can be mobile out there and pull up addresses and names and different information that you would require when you're out in the field, have that available to you. So deployment flexibility is, I find, really critical. And then the next thing, and Shawn alluded to this, is scalability. And scalability just means that this can adapt and change based on your specific needs. And in Shawn's case, his database has modified over the years, has changed and morphed into what fits his specific business model today. And as he continues to grow and change and come up with new ideas and things, allowing that infrastructure to grow with you is an important piece. All right, so let's get into why this database is so important. It's a centralized data capture environment. And you can see here, this is a kind of a layout here of Shawn's database. It looks a little different than Shawn's got yet, because this is a customized one. But you've got the branding, you've got all this information that you can capture on the side. It's basically your mission control, if you want, to be able to get a hold of all the information in here. So you need a centralized repository for all the stuff that you're capturing as you're going along. So now let's go into contact information. So we're going to capture all sorts of contact information as we're going through this collection of information. It could be contacts, names, address, phone numbers. It could be all sorts of stuff that you're going to capture as you're going along with your day-to-day collection or communicating with clients. Client interactions is another part of it. So contact information would be all the field information you're going to capture: name, address, phone number. Client interactions are going to be notes, histories, emails, documents, any kinds of information that you're capturing as you're interacting with that particular client or prospect. It could be a prospect you're working with. I put client in there, but it could be anybody that you're interacting with, being able to capture that specific information. The next thing is to make sure that you're capturing opportunities. This is one of those things that I find over the years as I've analyzed thousands of businesses, where the kind of where it falls apart a little bit is opportunity management. And that is, what kind of potential do we what potential do we have with this particular client? So opportunities can be captured by net new individuals, or they're clients that you have right now that maybe you're not managing their whole portfolio. And as you're working with them, and maybe they've got a GIC with someone else, with their bank or what have you, and you want to get that under your management so that you have a better handle on helping your client get to their financial goals. So opportunities are really critical for a CRM to make sure that you're capturing the right information and using it so that things don't slip through the cracks. And often a lot of revenue and opportunities to help individuals falls because of poor opportunity management. The next one is activity management. That's the other one, is managing your particular activities on any given day. And a lot of people will use Outlook for their managing of activities, and that's not a bad thing. However, Outlook is what we call a PIM, a personal information system. And basically you drag off time and then it doesn't really link to anything. With a proper CRM system, it will actually link that meeting or call or to-do to that particular contact. So now you have a compliance tracking of, here are the things that are coming up for that individual, here's the things that we've actually done, and it creates a history. So being able to track your activities, create and track them once they're completed, and having that from a compliance tracking is really, really important. The next thing we have is products and services. Now, I know most of you can access your carrier's, the products and services for your clients on your carrier's portal and be able to get that information. For those of you who are running, dealing with multiple carriers, you need to be able to collate all of that together. So what a lot of people are doing is they're importing that information into the CRM system so that they can create reports, being able to analyze the data that's there, who's got what kind of insurance, and how can I help them better, or maybe shift them into a newer product or service. Being able to capture that information is critical in helping your clients keep on track and knowing exactly what they've got going on. Next one is centralized data access. And what that means is being able to analyze the information that we've captured. So we've captured all this information, opportunities and notes and histories and all this good stuff. But now how can we look at this information and make decisions on that information? So here's a screenshot of business intelligence. And you can see that you can pull in and analyze information through dashboards. You can look at this information through hard copy reports, either customer-facing reports, or maybe they are internal-facing reports where you're actually looking at stuff to be able to make decisions and see where things are slipping through the cracks. Or lists. Maybe you just want to pull up a list and be able to pull that together. And then data searches. Something basic like a contact, just want to pull up a contact, or maybe something more sophisticated like this one right here. This one here, where this is pulling up a group of individuals, and basically the criteria is if you're a client, and if you're over 55, and if you don't have critical illness, we want to communicate with you. We want to share some information of why you may want to consider having critical illness. And so something simple like this can really help your organization focus their efforts and time on specific people that maybe aren't aware that maybe they need to have this, or being able to lead them in a direction that might benefit them better. Next, we want to go into Microsoft integration. Any CRM system should have a Microsoft integration to do a bunch of different things, and being able to pull that information back into your office. So for an example, Outlook emails. You should be able to send out an email and receive emails and have them attached to your CRM application, meaning that you're creating this history of what was sent and what was received. And again, this goes right along with your compliance tracking, is being able to track those emails outbound and inbound and have it integrated right inside of your CRM system. The next thing you want to do is have letter templates. Now, I have found so many people that are taking a document that was sent out, repurposing that document, and spending a horrific amount of time doing this, as opposed to, for lack of a better term, templatizing these documents and being able to pull them up, have the contacts information merge into that document, and then send it out either in a PDF format or a hard copy format, and be able to use that. So being able to use templates using Microsoft Word and pulling all that together is a really, really important piece as well. Then being able to, and this is a simple one, this is more for the executive assistants, being able to do labels. Sometimes we get calls that, that they want to do these labels and they have no clue on how to do them. And it should be simple and easy. It should be fast. And then being able to dump any information that you have in your CRM system into Microsoft Excel. Being able to dump it in there so that you can analyze the data, maybe share it with a marketing agency that you're working with, or maybe internally you just want to look at the information and analyze it, being able to have that ability as well. And then the last thing we have is communication. You want to use marketing automation to be able to communicate with your people. And this is where the rubber meets the road. And you've seen how Shawn was doing an incredible job with this. And this is where I find a lot of companies fall short. They don't want to make the time to do this. But when you're using any kind of marketing automation should be part of your CRM system, this is like part of your retention strategy. So when you communicate on a regular basis with your client, and I can't emphasize this enough because I see so many people that aren't doing this, but when you do it, it makes a huge, huge difference. I've seen financial advisors, solopreneurs, make the time to engage in some sort of communication strategy and be able to really make a difference with their clients. So you're not going to lose clients. They're going to stick with you, and they're also going to be able to benefit from your wisdom, sharing notes and histories and stuff. All right, now the next thing is like email marketing, being able to have a simple email like that looks like an Outlook, but it's going to massive people, or have something more sophisticated like this one here on the left-hand side where you're inviting people to a seminar, being able to send those types of email communication out. Being able to have a landing page on your website where it says, hey, subscribe to our newsletter, and have people fill that information in, have it populate into the ACT database, or I said ACT database, but your CRM database, and then be able to send out emails, update fields in your database, create opportunities, whatever the case may be, and then send out an email, like a newsletter email, like you see this one here from Acivda. They are doing just a marvelous job with their email blasts and sending out and touching their clients on a regular basis through automation. So that's kind of a quick and dirty show of why CRM is so important and how it can definitely benefit you. And Brandon, that's it for me. Hopefully this helps those who have been watching today.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Gary. Yeah, you've got a great way of viewing how advisors should be using their CRM fully. There's a lot that I think most advisors don't integrate into their business, which means a lot of missed opportunities. I'm going to run through a quick few slides on mine, and then we'll get into the Q&A. I know we're a little bit behind schedule here, so I'll make sure I go quickly because the Q&A is usually the best part, in my opinion. Okay, so CRM 1, CRM 2, that's led to a lot of KYC, KYP requirements for advisors. Several dealers are now using CapIntel or other tools to standardize this. FISRA is now fining agents for unsuitable sale of life insurance. Basically, there's more compliance coming. So what that means is that we probably shouldn't be using old style methods that are inefficient and untrackable. Pushing out PDFs to advisors from MGAs and dealers, that's what's being done at the moment. And that's super clunky and it causes issues for us running our practices, and it's not intuitive for clients or the advisor teams. So what we've done in Advisor Flow is we've standardized client data collection. So your client experience starts from the moment a prospect engages you, and you need to think through the entire process and every touch point. If you can make it smooth, the odds of that prospect becoming a client and staying a client are much higher. The CRM is going to help manage your advisor team once that client data is in the system, but you need to really make sure that it's smooth from the moment you engage with that prospect. This is going to reduce NIGOs because you'll have the right information in the right place, and it's going to make your team run a lot more smoothly. No matter where you are in your advisor business, you need to make sure that you understand the financial planning process from the client's perspective, from your team's perspective, and of course, from your own perspective. This is really how we like to think about it. Advisor Flow fits into that first mile of client discovery. You'll use your planning software, you'll use your dealer or MGA for implementation and onboarding, and then you're going to have your CRM for ongoing management. There's no one tool that's going to solve all these problems, so you really do need to think through where are the bottlenecks in your business and how can you use tech. Yeah, ultimately, we've got a bunch of different surveys, and we'll continue to add more based on feedback from great advisors like Shawn and his team. So check them out, let us know what you think. You can customize all the surveys within the product, and the intent here is to ensure data is portable, but also customized in your brand. And so we've thought through the data model for every single client that you're going to need for an insurance or wealth practice. We added our teams functionality at the end of the year, which is helping larger teams like Shawn's and my growing practice as well. So whether you are just getting started in your digitization journey, Gary and I are both welcome to chatting with you and helping you run your practice better. All right, so let's transition to open Q&A. I see we've got Shawn back. I'll invite Gary back as well. So with regards to our Q&A, I first have a question for Shawn because he touched on how his practice evolved from his family over to him. I'm curious how Shawn, you took the values of what the firm was before you got involved and how you transitioned that into the modern era.
Well, that's a great question, Brandon. I think it was important to me because it was a family business. Keeping those values intact. There was no way I was going to rearrange that. Like how Brian did business, there are some core essentials to how we interact with the clients that today are exactly the same. That I'm sure even in future generations, it'll be exactly the same. But how we built that in. Well, one, I think it was who Brian and I were. Like Brian and I had a lot of synergies. Our first team member was Jackie, and then suddenly she had the same synergies. And then so when we look at these core values, I think you end up attracting like people. So very quickly, without even me knowing, a lot of my team ended up having those 4, 5, 6 core values. And it wasn't until we took the exercise, we stood back and stripped it down, that we were consciously made aware, this is the values of who we are as a team. This is the direction that we should be heading. Like almost like an aha moment. This is how most of our referrals come in. This is the experience that most of our clients have with us. But that exercise of really understanding of who we are and where we came from has allowed us to better understand where we need to go. And then what's that going to look like? So it was, I can't say it was conscious all of the time, but at one point it did become conscious, but it wasn't probably till later, until we actually took a moment to really strip down who we are.
Coming back to the mission, vision, values. Now, I guess building off of that, an attendee has asked, Shawn, how did you rebrand your firm? And did you use a consultant for that, or how did you manage to make that transition?
That was 3 beers in a hot tub. That Brian and I just sat around one night, and we were playing with a bunch of different ideas. So this is when the internet was just kind of blasting off, 2007. It was like everything was this and that, and the problem is there's a million of this and a million of these. It was trying to find something unique. So in the fight to find something unique, we got creative and decided to reverse a name from financial practices management, and then we kind of tested that with some peers, but that was it. And then we built from that. So looking back now, and that's a great question, we probably would use a service. If it was the future self of myself, I would say, okay, you know what? Let's not use just chance as a good starter. We should actually use somebody who's trained in this. But this was the younger version of myself that didn't understand everything about business building that I do now. So we got lucky. We built it into something. But if I was to do it all over again, I would probably put more thought into the colors, the brand, what it stood for, who's my ideal client going to be, what's the voice going to be, all of that at the beginning before you get to the other side. But that's not what we did. We went the other way. We came up with that first, and then we created a culture from that. But I couldn't say that's always going to be successful, because I think you stand a higher chance of it if you actually have some inflection into where you want to go, or understanding, sorry.
Yeah, I guess a lot of times this might happen organically, and it sounds like because of the deep relationships you had with your co-founders, that's what happened. Another question was kind of related to this process, Shawn. So it sounds like it wasn't perhaps that long of a process, but more of an evolving one. But someone has asked, what's the maximum growth a small team, so say like a 1 to 3, can reasonably achieve? And is there maybe some revenue targets that team should hit before they look to grow?
Like the question is, if you have a team of 1 to 3 people, what's the
Yes.
maximum growth? Well, I can tell you the minimum growth. I have a really good mentor of mine, JD Langton, has said to me that my job as a CEO, or anyone for that matter, even if it's a 3-person team, your job is to be a profitable company. I think that's when you start to transition from this eat what you kill mentality to actually creating a business, it's understanding that you're really trying to create a business that has profit. And if you're not creating 15 to 20% profit margin on all your decisions or your goals and targets, you're not creating a profitable company. So that's the minimum. I would say, when I'm speaking with JD about these kind of topics, my understanding is high growth firms would be in that 40% range. If you kind of plotted out, whoever's asking that question, I would plot out at least a 30% target on revenues, and decide, okay, what does it look like now? What do I have to achieve to add 20 to 30% revenue next year, and the year after, and the year after that? If I was to do that again, a lot of times I see too many people who aren't doing ensemble practices are spending too much on compensation on themselves and not enough in their business. And there's ratios that I follow. I won't get into it a whole lot, but I can tell you right now, one of the best pieces of knowledge that I'd share with anybody is the Practice Made Perfect book by Mark Tiberghien. I think everyone who is interested in growth-minded, awesome, Brandon, you're a follower. It's like a cult, right? Every successful business person I know has a copy of this on their bookcase. I've read this a million times, but that one in there is definitely worth picking up. And if you're still interested in that topic after you finish that one, then I'd recommend his peer, which is Philip Halive, worked with Mark Tiberghien. He came up with the ensemble practice. It's equally as good, and talks about how to grow your practice and the ratios you should be using, and why things you shouldn't be doing and things you should be doing. And the last one, just because I'm on the topic of my favorite books, is Traction. Will help you become a very focused firm on, and really kind of compliments on where to be looking, where not to be looking.
Thank you for that, Shawn. And added some to my library thanks to Shawn. I try to only read 2 books a year, and then I try to implement them. And I'm trying to implement some of those books that Shawn just shared into my practice. Chris has said great presentation. Scott has basically said Shawn and Gary do a great. Sorry, Gary and CoreLogic do an amazing job in CRM management. Thank you for that. And we do have a question posed at Gary. How do you help advisors understand what they really need out of their CRM? What's the process and that part of the decision-making journey?
So if it's kind of an analysis to figure out what, a lot of times when we do this, we find that they haven't built a strategy. So they're kind of just, somebody said, get a CRM software. So they're doing that. So part of it is just understanding what they want to accomplish and what resources they have. So it'll be different if they're a solopreneur versus I've got, 3 or 4 people in a team. It's basically in the same thing a financial advisor do. Got to ask some questions to determine where you're sitting and where do you want to go over this next year or the next couple of years, and then determining what that path looks like. So we're very similar to a financial advisor in the sense that we have to uncover, some of these items to be able to help. And then we kind of start wrapping the CRM strategy around the product that they're going to have.
Makes sense. And the best CRM is the one you're going to use. So, I think the important thing is talk to a few different CRM providers that you hear are credible in the marketplace. Talk to folks like Gary and see who you jive with best. Shawn and Gary obviously have a great relationship. And so that's been a fantastic partnership. And that may be others on the call as well. Ultimately, you need to just put aside the time to look at integrating tech and see what's going to work best for your business.
I think one of the things I liked about Gary's team and product is that we were able to build a CRM that worked for me when I was at year 1, running around with my cell phone, going to meetings at 7 o'clock at night at someone's kitchen table, right down to having an operation where you have multiple team members accessing calendars, giving responsibilities. It's gone from A to Z, which has been awesome.
Being able to grow with your partners is so important. So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving more into CoreLogic and Act. I know we're currently rolling out an integration between AdvisorFlow and Act. We got a question here from Scott. How difficult was the transition to a fee-based model, and are existing clients grandfathered?
Okay, the grandfathering one, Scott, that's a whole different question. We haven't answered that one yet. That's contentious. We're still working on the existing clients. We basically had to do, it's still such an issue for us that we haven't solved it yet. So we've got existing clients. We've got 51 years of existing financial management clients. We kind of had to put a wall there to say, okay, we're going to deal with that next. The first thing we're going to deal with every new client coming in right now. So every new client coming in right now, we've got a process. It works. It was easy to implement. It's successful. It's sharp, and it looks good. We have to plan B. We have our stage 2. We have to deal with that. I have a feeling that because of the success we've had in stage 1, it's provided the advisors the confidence to have those conversations and to be able to explain the value of why it's a fee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it'll be an easy transition once we get there, but I can't tell you the solutions yet because we haven't solved them all. But the first one I can tell you is it seemed more onerous than it should have been, but moving to a fee-based model is excellent. And I've gotten lots of great feedback. So much so, I'll give this example that we had a referral from one of the accountants in our area, referred their son to us. And you can imagine getting referrals from an accountant is no easy task. So sitting there in front of a partner at an accounting firm, explaining to them how our fee-based model works, what we're going to charge for a financial plan, the service was added, and then for them to say, this sounds excellent, and then refer a family member to us, well, that meant a lot. That to me legitimized the whole process, and that added a lot of confidence to what we were doing.
Yeah, well done, Shawn. And I know some advisors are struggling with that because they've ran things a certain way for so long, and they don't necessarily want to change. But sounds like you've sort of gotten ahead of the curve, which is going to help your firm longer term, especially when you're setting standards for all the other advisors on your team.
Thanks, Brian. I think you're right. We're moving in the right direction.
So we're a little bit over time, so I'm going to wrap up here. I know we've got a few more questions, but Gary, Shawn, if you don't mind just saying a few words before we wrap up, that would be appreciated.
Sure will. Well, one, thank you to Advisor Flow for having me here today. Brandon, amazing. Love what your team is doing. I love this onboarding process. It's sharp. It's going to be great. Enjoyed talking to everybody. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate. Reach out to anything on my socials. Reach out by email. Happy to answer questions. Gary, loved having you on here. You've been so good to me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a real pleasure. Thank you, Brandon, for teeing this up and being able to work with you and Shawn. This has been amazing. I just hope my real goal here is hopefully we can help those financial advisors or maybe just having a little bit of a struggle and just wanting to get to that next level. Hopefully the stuff that we've all shared today will benefit them. And, you know, being able to integrate with Advisor Flow, I think that's really going to be an incredible next step for people who are doing onboarding and that sort of stuff, and then integrating that with their CRM. So I'm so excited to work with this team.
Beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. Gary, Shawn, thank you for sharing your time and expertise. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.